In this video, we're going to be talking about the Quick Divide tool here inside Pixel Creator Pro. Next to the Insert Photo tool, it's probably one of the most useful functions here inside Pixel Creator Pro. Lots of great options with it as well, and we're going to cover all of them. So first things first, what does Quick Divide do? Well, first of all, it will allow us to divide a selection. So I can simply make a horizontal selection, I hit Quick Divide, and I'm going to say for this example, I'm going to do a horizontal division only. So I do not have vertical checked. I'm just doing a horizontal division of 4, and we're going to do the spacing between layers of 0.25, and notice that it says IN next to the dialog box. That means it's assuming inches for the dimensions. And then I'm going to choose the most basic function, which is simply create image box layers, and I hit divide, and voila, I have 4 equal sized image openings. So pretty handy stuff, exactly a 1/4 inch spacing between each one of those image openings. So we'll go ahead and make another selection again, and let's do like a more of a square shape selection here, and we'll do Quick Divide, and this time we'll do a vertical division of 3 with a 1/4 inch spacing, horizontal division of 3 with a 1/4 inch spacing, and we're going to create image layers and hit divide, and we simply get 9 image openings, each one on its own individual layer. So go ahead and delete that. Let's add an option. So we'll do the same type of division, but we'll add one option. We'll hit Quick Divide, and that option being Create Guidelines. So we'll click on Create Guidelines, and we'll hit Divide. So we'll still get 9 boxes, but we also get perimeter guidelines around each one of the generated boxes. You say, well, what good would that be for? Well, the reason that we added that option is because then I can delete a couple of these layers, and I could take one of the remaining image openings and I could scale it, and because I have these guidelines to snap to, I can create a different type of configuration but maintaining that spacing. So that can actually be quite useful. We'll go ahead and make a selection again, choose that Quick Divide option. Now you'll also see a couple of other options here, top and bottom, on both the vertical plane as well as the horizontal plane. And horizontal, it's left and right. Well, what in the world would you use that option for? Well, let me show you how you might use that option. I'm simply going to make a selection. I'm going to choose Add Aperture here inside Pixel Creator Pro. And then I'm going to use the Quick Guide function, Quick Guide to the right. And you can see what it did. It added a guideline right on the right side edge of my image opening. And now the reason I did that is because I want to make a selection, and without that guideline in place, I could not make the selection and have it snap right to the edge of that image opening. Now I'm going to use my Quick Divide tool. Vertically, I'm going to divide by 3 with a 1/4 inch spacing in between. Horizontally, I only want one division, so I only want one image opening going horizontally. The spacing between layers to be a 1/4 inch, and I'm going to add this left option. We're also going to create guidelines as part of this process because I want to show you something that's kind of interesting. So, but primarily for this demonstration, we're going to focus on this left option. What does that do for us when we choose left? Well, let's go ahead and do the division and see what happens. So you saw what happened there. Because we had made a selection starting from the edge of the existing image opening, and because we chose the left option, what it did was it started the new image openings a 1/4 inch in from the left of my selection, which was right on the edge of the existing image opening. So this gives us that option so that spacing is maintained. So it's a really nice little option that we have. Now, why did I create the guidelines? Well, the reason I created the guidelines is because these image openings here on the right, I wanted them to be perfectly square. And there's no way to really tell Photoshop, hey, I want to add 3 openings to the right edge of this existing image opening, but I want those openings to be perfectly square. So we have kind of a two-step process. We've created the image openings. You can see that they're slightly wider than they are tall. And so now I'm going to make a selection, holding down my shift key to conform to a perfect square. And because I have guidelines in place, I can snap to those existing guidelines to make a perfectly square selection. Then I'm going to use my quick guide option, quick guide to the right, and you can see it added a new guideline to the right edge of my current selection. So now with that new guideline in place, I can select these 3 layers, use my free transform, and snap to that selection. So I maintain the spacing on the left and the spacing between the layers, but now these 3 openings are perfectly square. And just to throw something in there for you, let's select those layers, click on Merge Apertures. Let's go ahead and convert those to vector layer masks. Merging those together, selecting the new layer mask, choose Edit, Define Custom Shape, and just like we've shown you in other tutorials, if I scroll down to the bottom of my custom shapes, there is that configuration of image openings that I can use again and again without having to recreate that. So you can see how you can use all the different tools in Pixel Creator Pro to their full advantage. Alright, let's go back, make another selection, choose this quick divide option again, and show some of these other functions. So you've seen how that left option that we had selected it just begins the new image openings either from the top, from the bottom, from the left, from the right. That's what those options are for. There's another option here called Insert Images. So I'm going to go ahead and check that. Now I'm going to go back into Bridge here, and I'm going to select 3 images. And I'm going to do a horizontal division of 3. So with this Insert Images checked, what Pixel Creator Pro is going to do is it's going to create 3 image openings going horizontally with a 1/4 inch spacing between them, and then immediately go into the process of inserting images into those 3 openings. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit Divide, and then automatically it's just going to go through the process of taking those bridge selections and dropping those in place for us. So now we have those 3 images already in place for us. It's not an option that I use a lot, but the option exists if you choose to use it. So we'll go ahead and delete. Now, we do have another option in Quick Divide. I'm actually going to just create a new document here inside Photoshop, and we're going to do 8.5 by 11, 300 pixels per inch, whatever we want to use, doesn't really matter. But there is another option here. So I'm going to go ahead and make a selection and choose Quick Divide. And those are the create vertical centered guidelines, create horizontal guidelines, and why do we have this checkbox to create image box layers or not create image box layers? That is an option. Well, let me show you an example of why we might not want to create image box layers. So let's go ahead and first of all, let's just make a selection like so. And I'm going to use Quick Divide again. And this time we're going to do a horizontal division of 3 image openings, 1/4 inch spacing between those image openings, but we're not going to create image layers. But we are going to create guidelines. And that is the only function that we're going to do here. So when I hit divide, it'll create basically 3 areas, and it just puts in guidelines for me. So for example, if I wanted to use my rounded rectangle tool, we'll do 1/4 inch corners. I could then use my guidelines to draw out 3 perfectly sized rounded rectangles. And if I didn't have those guidelines there, then I wouldn't be able to get the spacing to be exactly 1/4 inch between those with much ease. So that is one purpose that we might just create guidelines. So let's go ahead and hit C for clear. Another option might be to create like a proof sheet. So I'm going to use my guides tool, and we'll do a perimeter margin of 1/2 inch for this example. So now we have new guidelines around the perimeter of our document, exactly 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to go ahead and make a selection using those guidelines. And then I'm going to go ahead and choose that quick divide option. And what I want are just some guidelines. So we're going to do a vertical division of 4 openings. The spacing between layers we'll do 1/2 inch. And then horizontally, I want to do 3 image openings with the spacing between layers of 1/4 inch. And I want to create vertical centered guidelines and create horizontal centered guidelines and hit divide. And so you can see now that I have this spacing, and it shows me the dead center of each one. So I might come in here and make a fixed ratio 4:6, and because I have that selection and those guidelines, I can snap that 4:6 ratio, and I'm going to choose add aperture. See, then I can just duplicate this image opening using Photoshop, and because I have these guidelines in place, I can snap right to it. And I'm going to take these and go ahead and duplicate those down. See there? And so by having these centered guidelines horizontally and vertically, I could snap right to the center, and this could be like my proof sheet, where I could use the Proof Builder Pro inside Pixel Creator Pro to populate each one of these image openings with a little proof image. So every function here in that quick divide tool has its own special unique case, and those are the various options that are available to us. So experiment with that quick divide tool. I think you'll find it a widely useful tool. It's something I use all the time when I'm doing my album layouts. So don't be afraid of all the options, but understand the options. Watch the video a couple of times, because I think you'll find it to be a great tool here inside Pixel Creator Pro.